come today. Oh, permission? Let's go. I don't have my clicker, so you gotta get my clicker. Click on through till I tell you to stop. I'm not gonna do that. Stop. Go back. All right. Sorry, man. We have to engage men. Now, people used to say, men's ministry is not rocket science. You never be a rocket scientist. That's not true. It is rocket science. Men are more difficult. And the reason they're more difficult is because they don't always express what they think and feel as much and as often as sometimes the women do. I can notice something. My wife can get on the phone with her sister, or some sister at church, or some friend. I've seen them. Half an hour, 45 minutes, hour. She got a couple of people talking 2 hours. How many of y'all talk to some brother 2 hours? Not one. No, listen. What's it gonna cost? How can I help you? Bye. We don't, but we need it. So we've got to engage the men in the church to get a thriving ministry going. We really got to engage the brothers. Business of you all know this. The greatest one in the world is one of what? Men. Why would she say that?
Because it's true.
Why is it true? What is there about men?
You get men, you get the family.
You get the family, you get the men, what else?
God gave dominion to man.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, the leadership there, the family is there. But not to be bought or sold, will call sin by its right name. And I am not going to read all that, y'all know it. My issue is, though, that the brethren, somehow we have missed the boat a little bit. Would you think? You think I'm on track? We have missed the boat in engaging them. Now, I don't have all the answers, but y'all do. And together we're going to find some because we're going to do some different things. Okay, permission? How do you get the men involved in the church? I submit, here's a suggestion. One of the studies that we read said that in any weekend there's 61% women versus 39% men in the pews at the local church. True. If we don't get more men in the pews engaged in the spiritual life, we won't get them active in the church. But we've got to get the brothers engaged. Even when they attend, their involvement outside of Sabbath morning hours is less than women. The involvement is not there, and we've got to find a way. So I got a strategy. Now here's the strategy. Now let's talk. I submit, and this may not be the only key. I didn't do normally what I wanted to do in the beginning. I thought we'd have a few months break into the groups and get some insight from you, but we'll save that for another time. But I submit we got to go wide and deep. That's what I mean. Reach as many men as possible in the local community, church and community. We gotta go wide. Let's reach out to everybody. You know how some guys be on the periphery? We got a guy, I can name some men that here that are on the periphery. They come around, they sit in the back or at the edge. What's going on, Pastor? Hey, give a little offering. Don't see them anymore. But you gotta engage them widely and reach out to them widely. We gotta help the men go deeper in their relationship with God, their families, their communities. We got to develop spiritual leaders. Now that's nice words. I wanna know what you think about it and how you think we can implement that.
The men's families, we get the men. If there's nothing for the families to do, it's hard when you got small children to keep them entertained. You know, so they're more likely to go where there's things for their children to do. So as men, we need to encourage and think a little differently.
Okay.
You know, from the standpoint of sponsor things for the family and the children.
Oh, now sponsor, wait a minute, you said something else. I mean, we didn't say that. Sponsor some things directly. Okay. The men as spiritual leaders and deepen their own spiritual experiences. The family I got with them. Come on, give me some more insight. Thank you, Brad. Yeah, speak
I
about it.
think that we did something in Huntsville that was amazing for me. We started a men's group outside of our church,
Mm-hmm.
but we included and invited the church. We started with about 3 of us. And when I left, it was about 20, 30 folk. And that
Okay.
was less than in a year,
Okay.
black and white. And then they became the individuals that reached out to their friends.
They were the catalysts.
And it worked. It was unbelievable.
What did you?
I contemplate suicide before. And you think everything is going smooth with them. And so, like you were saying earlier, men just don't express themselves to one another like women do.
Wow.
It's relationship with your spouse.
Okay.
Because you'd be surprised, we walking around after we had a major issue and we have nobody, we won't talk to anyone.
Right.
But when you get a group of men together for a while, before you know it, little bitty stuff. And we used the Bible. We didn't just use counseling books. We didn't use them. And we put it on the screen. And we went down it every week, different things. And it brought people in that were actually some guys, their wives, former wives are over in New York and they're in Dallas. And who has the children? How often do you see the children? And what happens when you do see with the spouse, whether it's male or female?
I can't be looking weak, because then y'all think I'm weak. I don't know what y'all gonna do if y'all think I'm weak.
And then looking weak, less out your guard around, you know, people see me as stronger, but I'm gonna tell you something, all this and that. I thought you was better than that, you know.
Wednesday night, Bruno, you were there. So when I was preaching, I mentioned to the elder here. I talked about, you remember the man in my fence? And how angry I got. I hadn't gotten angry in a long time. It was 30 something feet, or whatever it was, 40 feet short. He came to me lying, talking about, I did, Joe, it's a long story short. The elder, he said, I had this man do my fence. And he gave me a bid. I had 4 or 5 bids, 4 or 5. Anyway, this guy got it. Oh, he did a good job. He done my other fence. But he did 190 feet and stopped. And then he came with a bid talking about, I bid on 190 feet. I said, you bid to do your fence. What about the rest of the fence? And he was blue-eyed, and that didn't help him none. And then he went to talking, so I went in and got some help and came back out the house.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. and when I came back out the house, it looked like he was taking the wood, and I wasn't having that. And then when he was taking the straps off the wood. He carried the straps. And it's Oh, he's just taking it. And I'm talking about how people look at you. And so my wife said, oh, don't tell them that. I want to, my humanity was there. Sanctification is a long process. But the Lord said to them, man, you ain't got no business. Calm yourself down. You haven't paid the last bit anyway, it's gonna be all right. Just, and that caught me just that quick. The Lord said, okay, I said, okay. And I was embarrassed, and I called him, I told him, man, you should have done that way. But you shouldn't have done this. But we worked it out. He didn't finish the fence, I got somebody else to finish the fence, and we kept the money. And his assistant said, yeah, we were wrong. He could have just said, I made a mistake. I didn't measure it all. Whatever, I wouldn't believe that either. But same time, it would have been better than what he did. What do people think of me if I tell them? Well, but it's still in my spirituality, my spiritual responsibility. You know, it's been a couple, 3 years ago. Am I supposed to feel that way? I have to master it. But I gotta be able to say that. But I gotta be able to say it in environments that men didn't understand it. But some of the men that were there said, a couple of them, the military guys, think they understood. Now, if it had been my brother, the one I told you about, it wouldn't have been, I promise you. I know he got some bodies on him at that point. Matter of fact, anyway, the deal is, how do I feel when I tell you that? Are you gonna say I'm not a good pastor? I'm not a good man? I'm not spiritual? Or whatever? Do I have to worry about that? Well, I've kind of gotten to a point where I don't need that to worry about what you think. But at the same time, I do recognize my responsibilities. Yes, I gotta have an environment where I can talk, where I won't commit suicide, or I won't shoot that man, or something.
So the church, the Adventist church, and in general, maybe churches typically don't lead in changing the way society works, the way society approaches issues. Let me just see if I can twist this a little bit.
Okay.
We're having a conversation right now that wouldn't have happened when I was 10 years old.
Yes, sir.
Now the denomination is now pushing men's and women's ministry, but that is an artifact of what the world has been doing. The conversation about the condition of manhood is not something that originates with us. Popular behavioral science and therapy and all of that has helped to set an environment where these who walked up to you and talked with you, Brother Ford, about feeling suicidal. That's because things have changed in this world about the freedom to talk that way. We have a challenge because the norm is still not for men to talk. But the prospect of us getting together and supporting each other and helping to lead our families and to grow spiritually, and to do that in a collective as men is greater now, I believe, than at another time. So while we have a situation here where there is a dearth of men, the fact that we're actually sitting here on the Sabbath afternoon talking represents a very positive thing for me. Now, I was going to go back to a slide. No, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back. But when you were talking about the percentage of men in the church versus women, if you think about the roles that men play in the church, they are not nurturing roles. You see the men up front at a distance from the congregation, engaging at a distance, preaching, teaching general Sabbath school lessons, lifting offering, doing those kinds of things. Women are always, and I'm going to use this metaphorically, women are in the kitchen. The kitchen being wherever people are going to be fed and nurtured. Sabbath school classes, okay, vacation Bible school, Think about that for a moment. So we have a cultural shift, not only among men, but from the church in general. What if men actually taught Sabbath school in the lower divisions?
Or children's area.
What if that happened? Because the children, many of whom are male, would see men doing something that had been relegated to women. You talk about wanting to develop greater spiritual, family, and in the church. What if one of the initiatives was that we work to change some of the stereotypical roles that we play?
Maurice, you get done? But don't get to a minute ago.
I can't, it's been a minute, go ahead.
You're too young for that, bro.
So small groups, I'm suggesting of some type, like what the other brother mentioned up earlier. Deal with men's issues and activity groups. Go to the next one, Formation. Here's some examples of what, now I'm talking about wider group projects. I said it to my leader, and I'd like to say it, I'd like what to do it, maybe we need to do it as a North Central Texas team. We got some houses of people that we know. Why can't we take on a house and help them? We can get stuff free almost. You know what I mean? Real needs. What's the people over here? What's the world heart?
Yes.
Home habitat.
Visit, who?
Habitat.
World Vision, Habitat for Humanity, all those things.
Yeah.
And the contractors who would donate things. Get a project. Now we have breakfast. Now I've been very pleased and surprised at the turnout. We had more people at breakfast than we do here. About 3 or 4 rows of people that came to eat. And we did it like brothers were out here. Had a good talk. Athletic, we need to do some stuff. Some athletic stuff. How about a baseball, summer softball league or whatever? Church-wide men's weekend retreat. Now, we're going to do a retreat. So I'm talking about not as a conference line. Why don't we take our church and go?
We did that a number of years. People thought of with a great deal of they were not comfortable, but they showed up. It was at Athens. I don't know if you were still a member of the church then, or if anyone else was. Went out there and had a great time. And we had a full day. Some I think may have even stayed over the Sunday, and it started Friday night. It was interesting because again, that dynamic is one that would not have happened when I was a child. And I want to repeat that because now men are feeling needy and have always felt that, but are willing to talk about it.
And now, let me tell you something too. When they talk about it, and I often say to women, if your husband ever tells you something that very personal and close about his life or about his weakness, 2 things you don't want to do. You don't want to laugh, and you don't want to bring it back up and throw it in his face. You do that, so he's through talking to you. So we need to do some things like that. So I'll get you about that. Groups, projects, let's think about the men's breakfasts. We're having one, we had 2?
We've had 2 already.
2 this year. Go back, formation. Some athletic opportunities, something we can do. Church-wide men. If we the dynamic, what would happen when you get them in the environment and you got it planned? It will take on a natural process. And if we have some particular goal we reach upon, we can hit them. Come on, Mark.
2 comments. Well, a comment and a question. Let's deal with the question first. When you guys have the basketball camp at your church, that I think sister, what's her name?
Brown.
No, Singleton.
Singleton.
Carrie. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the turnout with that? Did you have very many young guys? Because they had a free, not a free, I think a cost, I think. But I remember seeing the advertisement for a basketball camp. Do you remember? It was
I'm trying to remember.
He's done a lot of.
She worked in concert with CJ, the oldest.
and did a couple of basketball camps.
Oh, yeah.
How was the turnout?
Oh, it was great. A lot of people showed up.
Okay. So that could be something that church, all the churches wide, not church wide, but churches wide. And, cause you guys never communicated with us, and we had some young guys we could have had, you know, and I think a lot of times we do it just not thinking, but, you know, a lot of times you can just say, hey, let's include the other churches, you know, and you know, working together. Cause prior to you taking over, Pastor, I talked to, Brother Grider, and we had talked to some other guys, or we were gonna include some other guys as far as us doing something together with all the churches and trying to, you know, not just be one, you know, we all have our individual things like we're doing something, but also include everybody. And also wanted to state that we were, at one point, you know, we had a discussion group, and one of the members that really contributed, and I think it helped him to grow spiritually, and that's when we had the meetings in Poncel, who since deceased. I saw him grow as a result of us having the meetings. Problem that we had is his young stepson was going back to telling his mother what was going on. You know, we found out about that afterwards. You know, but it didn't hinder us because a lot of us didn't know. But it, you know, one way or the other, it did make a difference because all of us got a benefit from it, and I hate that he stopped that because guys were able to express things. Dexter, I think, benefited from it. You know, and I think that if we would have, personally, I think that, and I could be wrong, personally, I think that if we would have kept that going, Dexter would still be here.
But you're right, we had a wonderful time. We did the book Point Man.
Right.
We had Point Man shirts. It's an excellent book for men. All right, but the idea is appreciate your points, bro. Some group projects. Men will do that. Yeah, we'll eat, and we want to go some athletic stuff. And I think a retreat locally, with local churches first. And if the churches have a men's ministry of their own, it's easier for them to bring their group with you. So my goal is to try to help you get all the men's ministry teams going.
Yeah.
Move on past it, all right, deeper. Philosophy, wider, deeper. The assumption here is that the development of men as spiritual leaders is what we need. All right? Every man is called to be a leader in their home, church, workplace, wherever. The best leadership training happens over time when you're part of a group. We do not develop leaders in a day. And you're not going to develop it on a weekend. But the long-term process of doing that and seeing it and fumbling around with it will grow it. And I wanted to do that, but I'm going to try to get Forest Hills, City Temple, Don's Fellowship, other churches in the area with their men's group doing some things. Probably come in and just give you some ideas and let the men meet. It'll be easier then to do what Pepper's suggesting, that is bring everybody together. Come on, formation. Now, here's some more suggestions. Are you familiar with Joshua's men? Okay, probably not. You know, it's a training manual. I like it. You know, we're gonna have to build a little bit, but I like it. Y'all like it? We're gonna African Americanize it a little bit. Yes, sir.
It's interesting that our other brethren are intermentoring. I'm convinced that one of the weaknesses of our system is we don't mentor one. We don't mentor. We don't have people that know how to mentor without an agenda on it.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Our concern, I don't know that it's a fact. But maybe we would have lost some of the young men we've lost if we cared for them.
It's mentoring.
Remember the young fella that got killed during the robbery about Payne? I like Payne. He's a gangbang, but I like him. Maybe we could have mentioned him. Could have walked him a little more. I get a call, you talking about Fonzel? His son texted me 2 weeks ago. I was coming to church, but he got sick. He said, Pastor, I want to come out. I need to be there. He wants that. You know, he's in his 20-something. Well, I'm 71. He'll listen to me, but I also need some of y'all to help me reach these guys. We got young people like that. Who we have to take to mentor them means a lot. How we do that? Walking with them, listening to them. I ain't talking about this. Y'all know this. Boy, you don't know nothing. That's no mentoring. That's I'm through with you. You know? But hearing them. You know, sometimes you gotta bite your tongue when they tell you some of that stuff. So with this training, this Joshua's been, I'm talking about this on through. It's a year-long mentoring curriculum. Written. It's based on the way Jesus developed his people. Now, it's available. And I'd like to see if you, come on, Formation. They're structured so you have monthly meetings. There's certain books you can read to go along with it. Point book's not in there, but I want to use point book. Point man. The prayer partners, certain projects, application, and a retreat. Now, next year, I'm jumping ahead, we're going to have a union-wide men's retreat. I'm not going to try to force a quick retreat this year, and it'll be something that it's not ready. The president has asked me to do something for a family thing. We're going to do that in the fall. But we got some great ideas. I'd like to try this Joshua men's training. All right? Come on, Formation. All right. These topic identity. Where am I? Connecting with God. Godly character. Connecting with people. Leading your family. All of these are part of the mentoring curriculum of the Joshua men. Now, we used to have Philip, is what Philip's referring to. Come on, Prof. So if the church doesn't have a men's ministry leader, ask, and I think all you guys do. I know you got one in Forest Hills. We have one. Bob, you the man around you. Of course, so that was here. Right. Well, this doesn't apply to us. But some I thought some might not. Well, we want to do what we can help. Go on to the next one, Kwame. Now, a simple teaser. Please get this. One person doing it all will tear you up.
Yes, sir.
You have got to have a crew. 4 or 5, and let that team work with you. Get a budget. Put some money in it. It ain't free. All right? Start small. You can't do everything at once. And let me tell you something about this Joshua's men. That he saw leadership potential in. And those 12 men spread out. And they did his ministry after he was gone. Those 12 men turned the world upside down. And they were far from perfect. That's why I ain't worried about when I ain't perfect. Come on, them disciples were something else. I love them. Just some regular brothers.
One of them even betrayed Jesus.
Yeah. So he ended up with 11. He's gonna get them.
And yet he was in
the group, in a circle.
2 by 2 that went out. Yes.
So he saw something in them that we didn't see, and he sees something in us that I guess he saw something in me that others probably didn't see. But Jesus spent time with them. Spent time, developed a relationship, showed them how to minister, gave them examples, set goals, and then moved out. I'm telling you, brethren, it's not going to happen just by happenstance. We got to intentionally try something. Now, I'm willing to provide. I normally get in trouble with the president of every church that says they will do it. I will not provide the individual books, but I give you the leadership curriculum. The men buy their own books, the workbook themselves. But I'm willing to provide the leadership book to every church that says they will provide. Plus, I know the guy that wrote it, and I called him, and he's gonna give me a price, and that's good. Amen. And they minister on his behalf. So I want to suggest to you that we follow, that if you'd like to try it, I'm willing to try it with you. It's a year-long process. You meet once a month. Okay. And you get a workbook to work through that month, and you get a book to read. first one is on identity, and it deals with the alter ego on the booklet does. And it starts someplace for the men to talk. Tell me what you think about that. Tell me if it's something you want to try. Tell me you don't like it. Tell me what you want to tell me, but tell me something.
Well, I think we should, in some, in established curriculums, I'm for it. I'm not a men's ministry leader, but
Yeah, but you about other men. I need you. What you think? What you think, Brother Craig?
Oh, I agree. I think the framework is great. I'm about a framework. And then I think the next step is we understand where our churches are as leaders. The one thing that I'm curious about is my initial comment, and just in the spirit of candor,
Yeah, good.
we've seen these things before. But what I've heard from polling anecdotally, the men at City Temple, is I can't participate because I'm a family man. I've got small children. So I challenge everyone here not to forget the
Yeah.
young brothers with small children. Because
Yeah.
if we don't factor in their kids and their young daughters into this mix, we won't get them. They've told me that. When we went to the retreat last year, they said, I'd love to come, but I can't leave my wife with these small children. So we have to think creatively with this framework. I love the framework. I love the ideas. Pastor Boyd has given us a template, but the way I read into it is I've got to figure out, because I'm not, I'm middle-aged. I'm almost 56. My kids are grown, but there is no one behind me that's willing to take up this mantle. To your point, I've got to develop these young brothers
By mentoring them.
but I gotta show them a way that I'm interested in where they are at this moment. Hard when you're my age and my dad's age, we don't understand. So I think in me and Skinner, we talked about that. Fondren's kind of in the same, the brothers are there.
Yeah, Skinner. He's a guy in
Wayne Skinner.
Yeah. I got it.
The brothers are there, but they're quick to say I can't engage because I don't, there's nothing for my kids to do. And they're active. The change is they're super active. It's not this traditional type, I'm gonna go out and slay the bull and the wife's gonna cook it. That ain't the same way anymore.
No.
These guys are actively engaged in raising their children. So that's what I'm contextually thinking. How do I take this and shape it to meet those brothers where they are, so I can get them activated and get them encouraged?
Let me ask you this. Well, with this Joshua's men process, we're asking them to meet once a month for the study. I can't help somebody else if I'm not spared.
That's true.
So if I can build the men, and we can do this in a way to include, maybe we can do it, I think, for young men as well. Now, when we say young men, I'm talking about you talking about, what age would you speaking of? Millennials? 30, 25,
I
30?
segmented them, and you've got the young men, 20 to 30. The young men that are entering marriage and family, 30 to 40. Then you've got the ones that are a little bit more stable, 40 to my age.
60
You know.
So if I think this was adequate. I admit that, probably don't. But if I can stabilize them, it may be, I don't know why the spirituality wouldn't work for a young man. See, let me give you what topic.
Oh, I know it will.
My true identity, connecting with God, learning to lead. Who am I? Connecting with people, learning to serve. And that's just 6 months. If I can get some of that in there, it may strengthen The goal is to help them, to strengthen them so they can have some fiber to deal with stuff. But I concur with you. If we have a men's retreat and we plan it long term, we do need to do something, I think, for the young men also.
We as men, okay, you don't wanna leave your children alone, okay, we should have a program with them, bring your children with you.
Bingo.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
think,
Right there.
I'm thinking the same.
Captain, that I want to remember that.
I'm thinking something similar to that, but the challenge we really have is not started 20.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. It starts, it starts younger with the little boys.
I wonder
I agree.
how many of us,
So I'm talking about this curriculum, but yes.
yes, what can we do to equip them to become mentors themselves when they hit 20? Because they've been through it. Look how many older folk we have that are grandparents, and they keep their children, their children's children, in their house. And what they're doing, they're breathing into them by showing them there's nothing wrong with it.
And the extension family.
But yeah.
Partially, but I want to get one.
I want to lend support to both ideas, but I do believe it ought to include, I'm going to suggest, starting at least at 20. The reason for that is we want to help formulate and cultivate the ideals that we want to see before men take on
Yes, responsibilities.
families and other obligations. Because now we're talking about a situation where so many of us have entered into these deep commitments and responsibilities without having had the benefit of this kind of nurturing and mentoring, so on and so forth. The other thing I would just say, the problem that you highlighted is a real one with regard to those who would not and could not commit because of their obligations at home. Immediately, my mind goes to the reason that's difficult is because there are no women to take care of the children. We go back to the point I made earlier. If we're going to be able to do this, part of mentoring is showing men that it is okay to take care of your children. To be the nurturer for your children.
And as well,
You've hit-
on that same note,
I mean, you look at us. My dad told me, and this is an example Greg's aware of. He told us when we were children, he said, don't mess up my name. He said, I don't have a lot of money. He says, but I got a great name. So when we got ready to do something crazy, first thing popped up in our head was, don't mess up my
What's
name.
my name?
How is he doing?
that's that same aspect.
And he talks to his kids and has shared with them, don't mess up my name. And they remember that, but they learn it when they're younger. So my question is, what can we do to get them to become mentors? We're jumping, we can't jump over the fact, we can't jump over the fact that they don't know. So when you and I get older, we don't have the energy and don't have the patience
Yeah, I remember that.
and carry stuff that, you know, we may not want to carry. Well, then they look at us and we've taught them. And when they get older, they'll do the
Boy
same
can't
thing.
be what he hasn't seen.
That's right.
I think I'm busting at the seams with what you're saying.
Things that we don't, I mean.
By 20, it might be a little late.
Yeah, and that's the problem, that's the issue, one of the issues with the church. You know, holistically, because when even Adventists, when we get our guys that are in ministry out to the church, they've never been mentored. So everything they get, they don't have anybody to stay with them. I mean, you think, why would a 25 or 30-year-old young man come into your church and start taking stuff off the pulpit without getting the vote? from those that built it. And as a result, the whole church is messed up.
And then,
And then they send somebody else that haven't been mentored. And the church can't grow. I mean, I work, and that's the hurting part of our church. We never mentor anybody. I saw the word that stimulated that really had an impact on me is the mentoring part. It takes time to mentor.
and it takes sincere
And
effort.
it takes, right, and you gotta want to do it.
Yes.
And see
Yeah.
what happens when you don't do it. I mean, you look at us. My dad told me, and this is an example Greg's aware of. He told us when we were children, he said, don't mess up my name. He said, I don't have a lot of money. He says, but I got a great name. So when we got ready to do something crazy, first thing popped up in our head was, don't mess up my
What's
name.
my name?
How is he doing?
What you're saying is very much true. What the program is, you know, it starts early. Okay, I'm the leader of the Pathfinder group
Yeah,
here.
that's what I'm saying.
And for me, before the group, before we dismiss for that meeting stuff, I go back and say, first off, how was your week? Anything I could do for you, the counselor do for you. Then I ask them about their grades or how they do in school. Some say A's, B's, and some say C's and D's. Say, where did you get this C from? Or where you get this D from? How can we improve on this? What I'm saying is, you got to. It's different when we came up. It's different from them now. Stuff. It's way different. It's just like this. The mental thing is different. They got a lot of pressure on them. So it got solved for us. I mean, we might be old and stuff, but we still could give back, but we got to understand them before we get onto them and stuff. We got to see where they're coming from. And where they're coming from, we got to guide them that when they grow up and stuff, okay, Brother Taylor and Brother Jones was there for me and stuff. And like one guy, he said he got a D in choir. I said, everybody said, would you get a D in choir for? I said, you want to be in the class clown? He said, yes. Well, I said, okay, first off, when you go to school and stuff, you representing God first. I told the whole group. Second off, you representing your families, that kind of stuff. So when you act up and stuff, you don't disappoint all the people. That teacher got their education is for you to go in there and get what they got and surpass them and pass it on. But they walk away, I mean, they're like when you heard me young lady back there, I'm walking toward church this time. I said, well, you need to walk a little faster and run a little faster with your little thing over here and stuff. But they understood they got over here and stuff.
But your relationship with them, they know you. And that's just gotta be.
I think to summarize the conversation, since we have about 10 minutes left, what I'm hearing is, just from the comments, and I mentioned this earlier, this is a framework that we've been charged with, that we need to train our brothers so that we can become better leaders. But I think in order to be effective, to effectively use this framework, we have to identify what our population is. We've got 4 types of brothers in our congregation. We've got the young adult brother, newly young adult, I'd say, like, not necessarily age, just young adult. I'm thinking like Wanda, brother, newly married, starting out, he's got a job, and he may be active in the church, or he may be, but he's coming, young adult. What we categorize as young adult ministry. That's the context I'm putting it in. That way I don't have to put an age on it. Then you've got a family brother. He's got a new family. He's different than a young adult because a young adult may be newlywed, him and his wife, they're doing their thing. But you got a family brother that is actively engaged with his family. They have family activities. They're looking for things at church for their children. Then you've got the single man, which we haven't talked about at all. But we got to target him because he's got a different set of challenges. And then you got us, the elder statesmen. So yes, the elder statesman. You fit that category, brother-in-law. The elder statesmen who have been in this thing for a long time, and we've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to share. I think if we target and we articulate, these are the brothers we're interested in, we can put every brother in our congregation into these buckets, and then we can identify what their needs are. If we build a framework and we don't identify the need, that's like building something and they're not gonna come because it doesn't meet their need. So what I'm charging, what I'm taking from this as men's ministry leader at City Temple is take the framework, specialize it in such a way that it meets the brothers where they are. Then I can get them interested. You know, even down to, you said build a team. That's what resonates with me. When I build my team, I have to look for those people because I can get input for those specific areas, which makes it easier.
But then if you're gonna widen the strategy of widen the activities and those things, and I'll give you this thing, then you can plan strategies for those particular groups that will help them in the activities.
And help them
In all the, yes, I'll give it to you.
and draw them, because they still have to learn.
Yes. Now, Joshua's men's training can cover all of that. But you put activities and various things like that, I agree with you, put them in buckets so we can say, these activities meet this kind of need. That's good. Maurice has been working on this for me. Now, I'm gonna close out with this, gentlemen, because I'm putting it 6:30, that's 7 minutes.
Appreciate you on that, Pastor.
You quit?
No, just being mindful of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do my best. Here's the text message I got Friday. This is one of 3 I got last week. A little different, around the same thing. Pastor Boyd, are you still open to counseling our marriage? Obviously, I'm not gonna tell you that much. Who cares? But the point is, it's a young group. I know, I run into that all the time. Now, let me tell you what else I know. If I get them brothers in here, with those of you who've been married and been through whatever you've been through, he gonna hear stuff. We saw it with Fonzel, we saw it, they're gonna learn stuff. They're gonna be exposed, they're gonna get ideas. Dr. Calvin Rock told me something. You know, when his wife died, 2 weeks later he was at Dallas Phillips. 3 weeks later with his new wife. But she'd been dead, she was gone. But she'd been very sick 10, 11 years, you know that. He said to me, Tyrone, I like taking care of a wife. I never heard it expressed like that.
Keep them young.
I like taking care, yeah, but I like taking care of a wife. He likes the responsibility of seeing that she's cared for. I've got, I've ran into a lot of young brothers don't think that way. You know, what I'm doing, what's she doing for me? I had a brother come to me. I'm talking about these kind of things, what I hear. The woman had children. They had a couple of children. She took care of more to them children. I said, boy, what is wrong with you? Don't you know what you think? Yes, she took care of them children. You next. You got to be in the back. The kids here now. You should be involved in it. He said to me, I never thought about I should be involved with it. Why hadn't he thought that? He hadn't seen that. Nobody had told him that. So some of this stuff, you know, you can get 5 minutes. You can get a lot of counseling done in your preaching. Without a pastor can tell you that. You better. You can say a lot of things in the general way that people get ideas. And I can deal with. So let's implement this strategy indeed. And then let's evaluate it at the end of the year. Now I've got to go to the other 3 areas that I'm going to try this in. But I really would like to focus it here strongly, getting the Joshua's men. If I can get the leaders to meet, and let's go through it and see what we can do about making it work. At the same time, I want to be mindful of what the graphic you brought up twice, so it means a lot. Of the buckets, the different age groups of men that we need to work with. Now, men, I need to get my leaders, I'm gonna be talking with you about how we can implement this. And of course, I get these other things structured, but I believe, as I was telling the president, if I can get the men strong, we will strengthen the whole program. Closing comments or questions before we get out of here?
Are there any timelines?
I haven't done a timeline yet. I can do one.
You're going to have a conversation with the president about this curriculum, the book.
I'm gonna have a conversation with him about, I need the money to pay for the books, which I got in the budget. I'm gonna tell him what it is.
You've identified how many,
There's a leader in each church will get a book. A leadership book.
now you're speaking of the Metroplex, or you're talking about?
I'm talking about all the churches that got men's ministries.
Okay.
That want it. I'm not gonna give it, you know, we're not gonna do it.
I think what he's asking, right now, the focus is, since we're North American, North Texas as it is, okay? And so we're gonna spread out from North Texas throughout the whole conference. Right now, his key is, let's get the Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas area going.
I was thinking that's where you were headed in terms of formulating a template
Yeah, making it strong.
and then exporting it. In your role, you may not be able to do it that way. I don't know.
I don't know if I have the energy at the time, but I know this. If I can get Houston and Dallas moving, I can impact the other areas. Am I responding to you? Am I not hearing you? Say it.
That's great. What I'm thinking is we leave here with a timeline for when and what will happen. So we have some good ideas,
Okay.
but
When can we, for example, when would you have the leadership book? Is that what you're asking? Okay. You were gonna get them tonight, but they didn't have any more. So I ordered them from Advent Source. If they get in next week, I'm gonna give one to McBride, I'm gonna give one to Jones. I'm on the basis, I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't, that you're willing to do this curriculum. I'm not gonna give it to them if we're not on the curriculum.
Yes.
Okay. And Brother Maurice?
I'll check with our leader.
And so, that's
so
what
then, upon receiving a follow-up meeting,
Oh, yes, definitely.
okay.
Maurice, and he's taking all my notes.
Mhm.
So I'm getting and we'll do that. A follow-up meeting, and not only that, it may take several to kind of get this far. Men, the men gonna be a little slow about getting them in there, but how we do it is important. How we initiate it. And I got the bishop in there. I'm gonna pull more out of him. And involved with them a bit.
I would propose that once we get the books, then we schedule another meeting among the leaders. And then, we have the book in our hands, we can kind of come up with a game plan.
We can do two things. We can get the author to come. And bring it to us. All right, gentlemen, it's 6:29. I said I'm gonna quit at 6:30. I don't wanna hold you long. But this is some suggestions. Capture some of this stuff, and maybe we can get the secretary to send out a note to the leaders. Make certain I know you guys the information.
Absolutely, we share I'll give that.
I can see some of the deck. Okay. All right, anything else? We're good order of the group.
What's the name of the training?
Joshua's name.
Joshua's name.
All right. Oh, look at he had his probe. See
This is high tech, man.
Back in our days, we had that. No, we had
There's
that.
nothing like that, man.
The man borrowed a sheet of paper.
And then lose the paper.
Yeah, man.
I don't mind sharing.
Please, let's close out. Brother Ford, would you close us out?
Yeah, Father God, we thank you for the plans that you made here this afternoon. We thank you for all that you have given us in our travel and nursing as we travel, as we implicate this Joshua man. We ask that may hearts be raised and loved ones be included too. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Remember, our thinking is if we get each men's group, get each church going, then when we come together, we have a collective strength. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Before I know you had a long day because you had